Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have The Gray Man. And that's The Gray Man with an E in gray, not an A.
Does that matter?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It doesn't matter for this story, but it does matter for next week's story.
Oh, God.
Spoilers.
Mm-hmm. There's a teaser.
Yeah. But yeah, so The Gray Man, it's by Palmshark on Creepypasta.wiki. So this Creepypasta takes a look at LSD Dream Emulator, which is a real PS1 exploration game. And it's a real thing, and so is The Gray Man that stalks the characters or stalks the player in the game as you play through the game.
That part I didn't fact check. That is a real character in the game?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an actual antagonist in the game that, like, as you play the game more and more, like, he becomes more and more prevalent. And the objective is to just avoid him as he appears. There's tons of videos online, like Let's Plays and theory crafting videos about like what the fuck this game's about, because it was like kind of an experimental. It was an experimental exploration game on the Dreamcast, on the Sega Dreamcast.
It was on PS1.
I think it was also on PS1, wasn't it? It was also, I thought it started on Dreamcast. Give me a second. LSD.
Well, there's a PS1 version which ties in with the story because he has a PS emulator.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. It's PlayStation, not Dreamcast. I think it's just because like Dream Emulator, Dreamcast. I must have got that like crossed over.
That's fair.
But yeah, so it's a real game. It's on the PlayStation. So you can check it out on I'm sure like there's ports and stuff on PC. You can also just watch a ton of Let's Players play it, or watch some of the theory crafting videos that people have made, because it's a really weird, messed up, and kind of non-linear game with its own lore and such. And so yeah, and since the figure and the game are kind of notoriously weird and even creepy in many aspects, it's no surprise that a creepypasta inspired by it would be on the definitive Creepypasta iceberg from which I pulled this story title from. So yeah, we're continuing our campaign to draw to pull creepypastas from the definitive Creepypasta iceberg that I found on Reddit.
It's a quest at this point just to complete it.
Yeah, well, and it's going to be a lifelong quest, I feel. Because we got a bunch of them off of that list, like right off the hop, because of like just how long we've been doing the show. But there's just the iceberg gets bigger and bigger the deeper you go.
Halfway done, or are we just halfway down? But it gets bigger.
I don't know if we're halfway done.
I thought we were. I guess I was just hopeful. I was hopeful. Yeah, I was being optimistic.
Yeah. But yeah, regardless, yeah. So this story, The Gray Man with an E, it's on Creepypasta.wiki. You can check it out there, and it's by Palmshark. So,
Very small shark.
Sure. Yeah. Or is it like a coconut shark? Because it's like a palm tree or coconut tree.
Yeah. It could be both.
Yeah. But I digress. Initial recommendations. I'm gonna partially recommend this one.
I am also going to partially recommend this story.
Interesting. I'm not going to recommend this story.
Interesting.
Let's see if your positivity changes my negativity.
We'll see.
Compared to my optimism that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Or we'll see
I'm
if
all over
your
the board
negativity or we'll see if your negativity will just drag us down.
Yeah, damn right.
But I suppose we should start with the rundown. Featuring Nair, because we never get a proper character name for the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
When Nair was 17, they had a friend named Mike that he talked to with in chemistry class and watched his YouTube channel. Mike's YouTube channel was mostly Let's Plays of obscure games, and one day he decided to try LSD Dream Simulator.
One day he decided to try LSD.
Yeah,
period.
exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. I go on to this thing. And one day he decided to try LSD. Dream Emulator Simulator. Or Dream
Oh, okay.
Emulator.
Very different.
Yeah. After talking about it with Nair, Mike got really into the game, getting as far as day 12, but soon decided to stop playing the game. It may have had to do with the Gray Man, the figure in the game that would stalk the player as time went on. Apparently, he started seeing the Gray Man in his dreams, and this is where Mike began to take a real turn. His school and life started to degrade as he'd see the Gray Man in his dreams and would be tortured by him every time he went to sleep. So he wasn't getting a lot of sleep, or wasn't getting great sleep because of these nightmares.
Yeah, he would sleep like minutes at a time, basically.
Yeah. As his friend continued to decline mentally, Nair decided to distance himself, seeking new friends. Meanwhile, Mike was going around town spraying graffiti signs in Japanese based on signage in LSD Dream Emulator. Nair came across Mike once during this, and after offering some booze and kind of consoling him about it, went home that evening. And it was later that night, Mike broke into Nair's room with his laptop, and he wanted Nair to wipe the laptop of the game and the videos that he had been posting, for Mike couldn't do it himself. And then Mike fled into the night after that. Nair wiped the videos and canceled Mike's YouTube channel, but decided to try the game for themselves. Weird thing was, when Nair tried, Mike's save file wouldn't show the Gray Man anymore, despite the fact that he should be appearing more and more as you play the game. After a bit of normal gaming on his own save file, he went to sleep. It was in his dreams that Nair visualized Mike as a character in a environment similar to the game before waking up. Days went by and Mike disappeared. Nair was even approached by police who were looking for him, but Nair simply said he didn't know anything. A couple of weeks later, Mike was found in the woods near town, dead from self-inflicted injuries. Since this, Nair still sees Mike's LSD character in his dreams from time to time. Finn. So yeah, that was the Gray Man. And I suppose we should move on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. Guys, do you have anything?
I have an It story.
Okay. And now, an It story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It was a very peculiar game. The objectives seemed to be only to walk around various Japanese environments, colliding with things that transported the player into other environments. It lasted for weeks. It was around this time that a new brand of graffiti began to appear frequently throughout the town on walls and such, resembling a Japanese word or phrase. It's exactly the same, except he's there. It turned out to be the Japanese name of the Violence District, a region in the LSD game consisting of dark city streets littered with graffiti and corpses lying on the ground, hanging by the neck from lampposts, or headless. It was difficult to tell through the fog and simple graphics, but it appeared to be wearing a green parka and blue jeans like Mike. Finn.
Wow. So from that It story, it kind of sounded like the guy was playing a game, and then the game became kind of real. He started like perceiving things in the real world as the video game, including a fog, and then he saw a sprite or a figure that kind of looked like this guy named Mike, and then the story ends.
Which might be, for all we know, what Mike was actually experiencing.
Yeah.
All we know is he just went insane and bad things happened. But for all we know, he might have been visualizing it as the real world as well.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And I do like that element of it, and then I will talk about that in my actual thoughts. But yeah.
Yeah. But for those unaware, Mikey grabs all the sentences throughout a story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ends, or buts. Strings them together into a story with sometimes hilarious results and sometimes not. But he does that because there's always better words to use.
Yeah. Gamer, do you have any grammar and yell?
Yeah, I got one. It's when I was 17, my best friend Mike kept a YouTube channel for Let's Play. Shouldn't it be for Let's Plays or for doing a Let's Play, not just for Let's Play?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's I jumped over that. I kind of like let it go, but I remember like reading that. I was like, that should be Let's Plays.
Or for doing a Let's Play, just for Let's Play. It's like right out the gate, immediately with caveman speak. Basically, is how I saw it.
Yeah,
but that's the only one I got.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So, I'm going to start with this one here. Mike played up to day 12 over the course of a week and had clearly enjoyed the game, as it was apparent in his videos. He seemed immersed in it, almost captivated by it. However, one night, he posted a bulletin on his YouTube channel stating, it's time to stop when the gray man pops up in your real dream. What should I play next? So I read this part and it's like, yeah, that'll happen if you're playing a game for a long period of time. It is particularly creepy, if still quite mundane, since the game Mike is playing is also about dreams and dream experiences. So like it's not like it's sort of like a creepy mundane kind of situation at the start here. When he's talking about this, because I feel like all of us have had may have had situations where we've been playing a game for days or even weeks, and so our dreams are going to start some of that's going to start bleeding into our dreams if we have them at night, or if we can recall them at night, because that's how dreams work.
Yeah, especially if you just finished playing a game that you've been marathoning and then you just shut it down, go to bed immediately, that's gonna probably jump in there.
Yeah, I've definitely had dreams like that with Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, some Zelda games, stuff like that. So
Power Wash Simulator.
Oh god. And it turns into a nightmare because you can't wash the blood away.
No, nothing. It doesn't matter which nozzle you use. I can't remove this dirt. How am I going to move on? I'm stuck here in this. I can't leave. I'm going to starve.
But yeah. And then the next one I have, I wasn't fazed by this casual joke. And he told me in chemistry the following morning that he was mainly stopping because he just wanted to play something new to him. I'd have recommended something, but an exam was nearing and I wanted to concentrate on my work. I suggested that he take a short break from YouTube and do the same. He agreed that this was a good idea, and we arranged to meet at his house that evening to revise. And credits, right?
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 times where it's you could just go credits and then the story would be over.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just definitely one of those moments and nothing bad happened. He stopped playing some video games hardcore and stopped the YouTube channel and just started up a mundane but happy life. No, of course not.
But it wouldn't be a creepypasta if that was the case.
Yeah. And then we go on speaking of that, of when things take a heel turn, he said that about 10 minutes before I arrived, he had fallen asleep in the bath and had a dream. He said that in the dream he was drowning under the bathwater, completely paralyzed and unable to lift his head for air. The quivering silhouette of the gray man towered over the water, watching him. I sympathized that this may have caused a few seconds of distress when he woke up, but could not understand why he was still petrified. Dude, Mike just had a near-death fucking experience. Like, if I fell asleep in a bath and dreamed of drowning and woke up still in that bath, I feel personally like I'd be taking like the rest of the night off. At least to like recuperate, because like realizing how close I came to death, like falling asleep in the bath and almost drowned. And especially since the dream had like was almost like warning me that you're going to drown if you're still asleep. Like how close that dream came to reality, and like, oh yeah, just a few like you can have just a few seconds of distress like when you wake up, but like I don't understand why you're so petrified. It's like, dude almost had a near-death experience. Like came this close to death.
Whether or not, wait, did he wake up under the water or something?
No, he didn't wake up underwater, but still, like, even if like I woke up like after nodding off in a bath after having a dream of drowning, yeah. I would not be comfortable bathing for a while. Like I'd have showers.
Yeah. Because realistically, like you could slide under.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah. But yeah, and just the way like Nair is just casually like just not able to comprehend why he's so freaked out by it. This is the start of me hating Nair. I'm gonna just say that now. And speaking of, here's my other examples of that of why I don't like Nair. I found new friends, and he existed as a shell of a human being. This is like when Mike's like mental like kind of mental capacity, like mental distress started like happening like in class and stuff like that, and Nair just seeks out new friends, like doesn't try to help Mike at all, and it's just like, wow, great friend.
Yeah, it's like effort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you really like you're real friends with this dude. Mm-hmm. And then continuing on that kind of thing, a little bit later we get this. So this is when like he sees him down like an alleyway and sees the graffiti. I walked down it and found a half-finished piece of graffiti above Mike, who was slumped on the ground weeping, with a can of spray paint rolling away from his hand. I sighed, sat next to him, and offered him a drink of my vodka. I repeat, wow, great friend. And what's worse is like, he doesn't help Mike at all with this situation. Like he offers him like the bottle of vodka, but doesn't like call anybody or like talk like maybe like convince him to like go seek help.
He literally just sat down with him because he wanted to know what was being graffitied on the wall. That's all he cared about.
Yeah. Oh shit!
Didn't care about him at all.
Yeah, that's actually my next comment and quote here. It's just like, yeah, what does that mean, Mike? I indicated to the Japanese symbols above him, but all he did was hang his head lower. The pain doesn't stop when I wake up. Mike didn't speak again for a half an hour, and I eventually persuaded him to go home. He stood up and stumbled off into the night. Call for
a
help.
Long time. Yeah. At least he stayed with him for a long time.
Police, hospital, like call somebody, or don't just like let him wander off into the night. Take him home.
Assuming that he gives a shit about him.
Yeah, and this is the point where it's like, I really dislike Nair's attitude in this situation, like toward his supposed friend. Unless perhaps like the town that they live in, because they mentioned like they live in a town, like and stuff like that, but they never say the name. I think I know the name of the town now. Derpland.
Yeah. Fair.
Also, I suppose the horror of this story could be that your friends really aren't your friends sometimes, or sometimes the friends that you think are friends aren't really your friends, based on on their actions, like when you're in a crisis. But that sort of thing is usually narrated from the victim's point of view, not the asshole friend. Because I was kind of getting like that. That's kind of part of the horror of the story, is like the fact that Nair doesn't try to help Mike. and there's sort of like a help, like I'm sort of like as a reader, I'm kind of starting to like get like a sense of helplessness, for poor Mike.
Yeah.
But I'll move on to the next thing here. It turned out to be the Japanese name for the Violence District, a region in the LSD game consisting of a dark city street littered with graffiti and corpses lying on the ground, hanging by the neck from lampposts or headless. I had seen Mike encounter this area many times in his videos. Okay, so shitty friend stuff aside, I do like the idea of someone trying to emulate a video game's world in the real world, like as some kind of like weird out of context kind of like weirdness or creepiness. Like the idea of putting messages that you'd only really see in like a game, like through a game interface or like through like a game tutorial kind of thing, really kind of intrigues me as a weird, creepy scenario for a story. I've seen some examples of this. I've heard some examples of this actually from like some other Let's Players, like Markiplier and such, where like you're just walking through like past some buildings or like through the woods, and you just see on like a boulder on like a wall, like spray painted on the side, like a message on the side that says "Press space to run."
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing would be like. And then like I remember Markiplier like came across that in like a game where like he's like going into this like dilapidated building, and he sees on like he sees like a sign on like a graffitied sign on a wall, like some environmental storytelling, but it's like basically like environmental like interface that's like instructing the player how to play the game. It's just like press space to run and all that stuff, and it's like a horror game. It's like, oh, that would be really cool. We should do that. Don't do that, but you should do that. Just like freak some people out by just having like make them like question their reality.
Yeah, like you're just
like,
walking through the park and like you see that or something.
Yeah, walking at night in the park, and you just see like on like on the ground, like spray painted or like in chalk, press space to start running.
Yes.
Or like
why would I need to run?
Or like press control and it's like CTRL to turn around quickly. Like like that kind of stuff would be really fun to like play with in I think in a story or even like a tabletop game, of like having your players or having the characters like question their reality, like are they trapped in a simulation, or is this like some kind of weird like blending of like the virtual game world with like the real world. It kind of feels to me like almost like an Unknown Army's idiosyncratic magic sort of thing that blurs the line between the strangely mundane and like surreal ritual magic. So like again having like that kind of stuff, just importing things from a game world and putting them in the real world that normally wouldn't be there because like the game world like uses it for instructing the player on how to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that element of this story with the way Mike was like acting in the real world.
It's really not capitalized on at all though.
No, it focuses more on like Nair just kind of like bring up this friend like spiraled into madness after playing a game and having this character pop up in his dream. But there could have been so much more examples of him like treating the real world as a game world because of how like the dreams are affecting him.
Yeah, if this was a first person story as Mike, we would understand it more because that might be the case, but we don't know because everyone just sees him as the guy going crazy and they just leave him alone.
Yeah, and if Nair was a more sympathetic character, he might like look into this more and we might get more context through Nair's eyes, because he'd be like trying to help Mike like and try to understand what Mike is going through. But as it is, Nair is just kind of like really distancing himself while narrating what's happening to Mike.
Yep.
So we're just getting bits. And then my next one,
sorry. Technically connective tissue time. I've been watching Seinfeld like the entire series, and like 2 nights ago or something, or I got to the final episode where like spoilers for Seinfeld. They all get arrested
later.
Yeah, they all get arrested at the end because they stand there and do nothing while a guy gets his car stolen.
I remember
And
this.
yeah, and they're just recording it and stuff. It kind of feels like that's what this story is. Nair is just standing there as they call it in Seinfeld, a guilty bystander, because he's just standing there doing nothing, but
that's
he's guilty
exactly
because he
it.
could have helped.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I think trust me, we're gonna get there in a second with
Hell
like
yeah.
Nair being a guilty bystander. Also, I said 20 years ago, the first episode of Seinfeld came out in 89.
Yeah.
So like it's more like 30, 35 years ago.
It's been a hot minute for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably 20 years ago when it went on to Netflix.
Yeah, probably.
But I digress. I'll move on to the next thing I have here. So this is like when Nair is given the laptop to and he's wiping the video files and all that stuff. I then noticed the file psxfin.exe on his desktop. I double-clicked to run up the PlayStation 1 emulator and opened the LSD Dream Emulator CD image into it. Then loaded his file, which was still at day 12. Mike was clearly unstable, I had figured. Many people have played the game and been unharmed. I could easily do the same. They must live in Derplant. Like, fuck's sakes. You see what this, like, so, but seriously, like, at the first sentence in this quote, where I read it, like, where it's like, I then noticed the file psxfin.exe on his desktop, and I was like, don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Of course he's going to do it. It's a Creepypasta character.
And then he did it. And then he just kept playing.
Yeah. Also, when you first started reading that, like, the wording of, like, he double-clicked on it to run up the emulator or something like that?
I double-clicked to run up the PlayStation 1 emulator.
Wouldn't it be to launch? Or to run, not run up?
Yeah, that might be a grammar inquisition there. Like, instead of run up, it should be then, like, I double-clicked to run the PS1 emulator.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, God, he's such derpish, like, behavior. It's like, like my friends spiraled into madness after playing this game on his laptop specifically. Oh, this executable program for the game on his laptop specifically, and his save file. I'm just gonna play it. I'll be fine.
First, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna happen? I'm gonna start dreaming of my friend in like as an LSD dream emulator character bot and like. And just start seeing him in my dreams. That's not gonna happen.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah. All right. Now going to the part where was it what did you say the Seinfeld they called it?
Bystander.
Guilty bystander. Yeah. Not talking about the guilty bystander bullshit with Nair. The police knocked on my door that weekend, asking if I knew anything of Mike's whereabouts, or if I knew what had been troubling him. I calmly replied that we didn't talk much anymore. Putting the whole situation out of my mind, I started thinking about my future and concentrating on getting a good chemistry grade. Fuck Nair.
He's the worst kind of person.
Asshole. What a dick.
Yeah.
I hate him so much.
I'm with you, honestly.
Like, this is not how you treat a friend.
No.
If your friend's going through some rough shit and and needs some help, fucking help him get some help.
That shouldn't be asking much.
Yeah, you don't have to like overburden yourself with it. You don't have to like be super you don't have to like get super involved. Just a couple of just some simple actions can like go a long way sometimes. Oh, it bugged the shit out of me.
I'm with you, man.
Okay, moving on to the last thing here. A couple of weeks later, they found him in the woods a few miles out of town. Forensics concluded that he had bludgeoned himself to death with a rock very soon after the day he went missing. I dream about him sometimes. Yeah, congrats. You're now haunted by the friend who you gave up on. I hope he continues to haunt you to the rest of your days.
Yeah, he did kill him technically.
Basically, yeah, he didn't help. He didn't kill him directly, but he didn't help him. He didn't help at all. Like if anything, he almost kind of hindered.
Honestly, sometimes inaction is worse than like action in this kind of case, you know?
Yeah. Also, it is an interesting switch to have Mike now haunting Nair, like the Gray Man had been haunting Mike's dreams. The only thing that might tie that story, like that part of the story, better, is if when Nair was like started playing the game on Mike's laptop, he had actually seen a Mike character in the game first before starting to dream of him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you dream in the game, you dream for real. Obligatory stay alive reference.
Of course, understandable.
I was originally going to do you take LSD in the game, you take LSD for real. But I think Dream made more sense in that.
Yeah,
game.
sure.
But yeah, yeah, that's my actual thought. That's basically my actual thoughts, guys. If you have somebody, if you're worried about somebody, reach out to them. Let them know that they're not alone. Like that they have people that care about them, and like maybe just like get them to like seek help. Yeah, that's our public message for Al Dente Rigor Mortis.
Don't be a Nair.
Yeah, don't be a Nair from the Gray Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of my my actual thoughts. So, Mikey, D stands for evil.
All right. So my first one, I'll just start at the end, like I usually do.
Like the Aurora Boris, the snake eating its tail. We start at the end to get to the beginning.
It was difficult to tell through the fog and simple graphics, but it appeared to be wearing a green parka and blue jeans, like Mike. The problem I have with this is the first time we find out that Mike wears a parka.
Yeah, like
we heard about a hood before. He said he had a face, but yes, you're right. We had absolutely no visual of the character at all. We get it at the end, so that has no impact.
Yeah, I mean, like the only impact it has is that like it also says that like that's what Mike wore. So like, oh, this character, the sprite is supposed to look like Mike. Like that's it. But like it would have had. Yeah, I do agree. Like there could have definitely been at the beginning, or like throughout the story, we could have at least gotten some kind of description of Mike or Nair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nair's supposed to be like a self-insert, anyways.
Yeah,
I assume.
Yeah. More importantly, Mike.
Yes.
Just like so we knew what Mike looks like.
Yeah, either that, or this is just establishing just how bad of a friend Nair is, because he's like, oh yeah, that's like Mike, but he's never worn a parka.
Oh God. Yeah.
You're just associating when there was no association.
Hey, wait a minute. That could be my, or it's like his like deep, because it's like dreams sometimes have like kind of like play off of your like subconscious like fears and guilts and stuff like that. It could be like, oh yeah, this sprite that's like popping up into my dreams kind of looks like Mike, because it's like the guilt of him like not doing anything about Mike's decline.
It could be that, but it's not.
No, it's obviously meant to be like surface level, like, oh, this is what Mike looked like. So like oh god, it's Mike's haunting Nair now. Good.
Fucking good.
Should be fucking yeah. It's the dude from Community, that gif, which is like good. Just like all serious, super. It's like good. I'm glad. But
all right. So my next actual thought here. After I finished finding the symbols, I entered them into Google.
I need to double check when this game when the story came out.
So my issue is that, number one, you have a person who's not Japanese writing the symbols. Then you have somebody who's not Japanese reading the symbols. So there's definitely got the symbols wrong.
Yeah. I feel like, because this story came out in 2012. So I know Google probably like Google and Google Translate were not the most helpful at that point. So like, because like nowadays, like I would have said like, why didn't you just like nowadays if this had been like in today, you take that photo, you can like use your phone and just like have an Google AI basically translate the characters in a photo nowadays. So, but
Because
that's
we live in the future.
yeah, because we live in the in the Shadowrun universe. Sorry, Mikey. But yeah, no, like yeah, I don't know how well it would have been in 2012. Like I imagine like translation would be a little bit harder.
Yeah. And then I did look up the game, and the Gray Man's basically just a guy in a brown trench coat.
Yeah, no, he's just a guy.
Gray trench coat.
Yeah, a dark gray silhouette of a guy. Like there's barely any texture. And he does just like kind of like get closer and closer to you as you play the game, and it's supposed to like simulate like a stalker or like a murderer or a rapist kind of character archetype.
Actually, gray at all?
Like it's like dark gray.
Oh, so like his body and his skin is gray, but he's wearing a brown coat over top of it.
Yeah, although it looks gray because of, like the environment has like fog and stuff like that. But honestly, like all the images I'm seeing he's called the Gray Man, even in like the wikis and stuff like that. But I'd say it's more of just like a silhouette of a man, like or a shadow man. Because like it's more of a black to me than a gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
gameplay I saw was I rewatched the Game Grumps episode where they played it.
Yeah.
They did not get very far.
Yeah. And actually, it's kind of interesting. He kind of reminds me of, so there's this phenomenon that is in California, I believe, of like people like claim to see shadow people like on ridges of hills, like watching them. And he actually kind of reminds me, like the figure with the hat and stuff like that almost looks like one of the archetypal shadow beings from that real world phenomena.
By the way, the screenshot I'm seeing, he looks gray as fuck, dude.
There's some that are gray, but if you actually like get like an actual like asset of him, like it looks more to me. It looks like more like just like a dark like black figure almost, like a shadow figure. But I do see the dark gray, but I don't see. But like when you're playing the game, but like I could also say that that's just like a dark figure, not really a gray figure. But he's known as the Gray Man within the game as well. So it's
okay. I think I will die on this hill. He's very gray.
All right, fair.
We'll move on from that, but I will be dying on that hill.
I will not. I will concede. Like I'll be the bigger
for
man.
A slew of screenshots.
Okay, I gave up.
Good.
All right. And now for some critically silliness, starting with the first sentence of the story.
Great.
Love it.
When I was 17, I drank some very good beer. I drank some very good beer that I purchased with a fake ID. My name was Steve McQueen. I stayed up listening to Queen when I was 17.
Hey!
Wow.
I did not expect you to break into song.
Yeah, that's my gig. That's my
wow.
shit.
You took his gerb.
Wow.
Gerb.
It's because there wasn't much of a conjunction junction or like a grammar inquisition this session or this episode. So Mikey felt like he had to like butt in.
That's fair. That's entirely fair.
No, that's honestly like, hang on, applause, sir. That was really good.
Yeah. See if we can get some Foley. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, that's a Simpsons reference.
Oh, okay.
Simpsons did it.
They've done everything.
Yeah, they did Polybius.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's the end of my actual thoughts.
All right. Gamer, can you live up to a musical number?
Oh no, I can never follow what Mikey does ever. Okay, so we kind of brushed on this, but like in regards to Mike deteriorating in class and like looking extremely tired, like his writing is getting worse, he's passing out and screaming when he wakes up, like, and the school's answer is to put him in a private class until he stops screaming. Like, that's their answer to this problem?
Yeah.
Shouldn't one of the teachers or a school counselor talk to him? Shouldn't they tell his parents? Are his parents even concerned about him?
Yeah, it's legit.
I find it odd that no one, including Nair, gives a fuck about him at all. Like, he is just dissolving in front of them, and no one cares.
Yeah, it's like really like honestly, like I felt so bad for Mike through the story. Like I was getting some like as a reader, like like I've read some like stories where like as a reader, like you're supposed to feel helpless, because you know what's coming for like the characters or like the individuals in the story, and you can't do anything about it. You just have to basically follow through and watch the train wreck. I felt that for this story.
Yeah. And it's one thing, like you brought this up earlier, if it was first person through Mike's perspective, because then you see that this world is just like is evil and uncaring, and no one is caring about the way he's acting and feeling and stuff. But it's from an outside perspective, which is kind of weird, where you see this guy just dying in front of everyone and no one says a word.
Yeah, it's like Durplin High School just does not care.
No.
The citizens of Durplin do not care. His parents don't care, or his parents are non-existent in the story.
Yeah.
But like his supposed friend doesn't care. It's really weird because, like, again, if this was in normal like stories that like tackle this kind of thing of like a character being like spiraling and like no in an uncaring world, those stories usually are told from the point of view of that victim, not the supposed friend of that victim or like somebody who is an uncaring person of that character.
And it's one thing, like, if it's meant to be that way, to show that, like, the world sucks, everyone hates you, like, it should go harder into it to, like, straight up say that, being like, have all these people saying, like, why do you feel bad? Like, get better. Like, that's all they say and shit like that. But, like, it's the fact that everyone does nothing. Like, they don't even, like, talk about it at all, you know? It's just weird.
It's almost like a dream sequence, like a dream where like characters don't care, or like they're like, or characters people that would care in the real world, in the waking world, like in the dream, like it's like in nightmares, they often like they take on like a persona, like a character that is false and often contrary to how they would act in real life, but they act like these horrible monsters in nightmares. Like, uncaring and hateful toward the dreamer kind of character.
It kind of feels like Mike is a player that's been like sucked into a video game world with just a bunch of NPCs. Yeah, because like everyone else acts like an NPC. Like, sorry, as an actual video game NPC where they are just programmed to go about their days and that's it. There's no emotion. There's no characters.
Yeah, almost like, because he described earlier in the story, like in LSD Dream Emulator, there are NPCs that just kind of move around and do their own thing and like ignore you. It's almost if the story, I feel like the story is almost trying to like get that, like of like that's bleeding into the real world for Mike, where like people are just ignoring him and like, or people are just like not caring about his mental condition and like and how it's declining and such. But like the story doesn't tackle that hard enough to make because like we're getting that now, like hours or even a days after reading the story and talking about it now, and we're coming to those conclusions now when that should be something that's like a theme in the story. And maybe we just missed it when we were reading the story, but then I feel like it should go harder.
Yeah, it needs that's an interesting way that it could be done, but it's just not.
No,
because you're right, that is an interesting connection. But we're, as you said, we're only getting that by assuming, like I don't even believe that the story wanted to try to emulate that. That's just what I am trying to. I'm trying to bring threads in to connect with the story that I like. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. No, I like that. Like, I think that's definitely like a good criticism for the story, for like if you were to like build like um expand upon this story, like that's definitely something that should be brought up in more writing, is the fact that like this is being told. Although I also think that maybe the story should be told from Mike's POV, not Nair's.
It would be better too, but like it's okay for it to be from Nair's as long as Nair is acting like a human being.
As long as Nair cares.
Even if he doesn't care, I would rather see him purposefully not care.
Yeah.
So then you could feel how this guy is being treated compared to just nothing. Like, it would be better to be nice or to be mean, not to be nothing.
Yeah, because like the way it is right now, like I agree. Like, actually, if he was meaner, or if he was like, then him getting his comeuppance at the end, where like now he's being stalked by the ghost of Mike, and like basically the curse is passed on to him now. Or the experience that Mike had is now being passed on to Nair. It's like good. Like there's almost like some retribution for how Nair was treating him through the story. Because like right now,
I still had the whole like good situation at the end, anyways, but only because of like how poorly the character's written.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, like as it is right now, the character, it like through the writing, and I think the writing just kind of like, I don't know if the writing intended for this, like for Nair to be this like hated by a reader. Maybe they did, but like he just comes off so callous toward a friend that like I'm so happy, or I'm just like good. I'm glad he's getting haunted by his friend, who he abandoned throughout the story. Yeah, but I don't know if that was an intentional move on the story, or if that was just something that just like happened as a result of us having empathy.
Yeah, us being actual humans.
Yeah, us being legit human beings.
Well, mostly, like Mikey is a being from beyond time and space.
I mean,
we don't really understand, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll move on from that.
Yeah.
So my next one is regarding Nair being told to delete all of Mike's YouTube and LSD game stuff, and then he leaves the room, and then he like proceeds to play the game because, of course. Like, I know the story says that like he was too bewildered to go back to sleep, but like Nair's seen the gameplay. He's watched Mike's videos on this, so he knows one of two things: either A, he knows that the game is hardly a game at all, so it wouldn't be fun to play, or B, it could be that because he's been watching his friend do the playthrough of it, he doesn't want to see it end, like, because he wants to see the rest of the game.
Yeah, like,
but both of those are also assumptions on my part, because like it doesn't say either. So like I feel that a more interesting way for this to explain why he wants to play is the latter, of like him wanting to finish the playthrough because he was really into the playthrough. That gives him, the character, a reason to play it, even if he doesn't believe it's supernatural. In this situation, it would be fucked up to play this. Seeing your friend like dying in front of you and handing all this shit to you, and like, oh yeah, this game did this to him. Yeah, sure, I'll play it. Like, why?
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, I actually really like the idea if he had, instead of deleting the YouTube channel, he had like taken it on, because that's a very strong kind of trope, or like gimmick in Slender vlogs, especially, where like a Slender vlog sometimes starts because a character gets a bunch of video files or gets a bunch of like stuff from a friend who was dealing with Slender Man like privately, and then went insane or died, and so they inherited like basically the curse or the legacy of the media that they were creating, and then they start posting it on YouTube. And it's a similar thing for this. Like, that would actually be really cool if like that's why Nair actually started like playing the game, was again to continue what Mike started.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to necessarily be he took over the YouTube channel and started posting. It's just that he wanted to finish the game on his account, because with the account deleted, it adds immersion because we can't look up the YouTube account and see the
that's
playthrough
true.
because it's not there
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think having a reason. This story needs reasons for everything, because everything is like without reason, and that's the biggest problem I have with this.
Yeah. It's all very
Um,
derpish, especially again, like can't understate like his reaction to the police.
Yeah, the police show up. Say your friend has been missing. We need information on this. Do you know anything? Do you know why if he's been acting weird? No.
Meanwhile, you have his laptop. You've cleared it of these videos that he was like doing, and you deactivated his YouTube account.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. My friend snuck
legit-
into my room halfway through the night, stood in the creepy corner until I woke up, and then he handed me his laptop and told me to delete all of his files, and then he escaped and was never seen again. But that's probably not important, right?
So you know, I could actually see this being like the situation going the way it is, but like with a little bit more added to make it make sense. I know that's something like it's a stretch for the story, but like
the story can very easily make sense.
No,
It just
yeah.
doesn't try to.
That's what I'm like meaning. Like I'm agreeing with you on that part.
Yeah.
But like this part, like the reason he like calmly said like he didn't know anything of that is because he's technically suspect number fucking one. Because he has his laptop and he deleted videos and deactivated the guy's YouTube channel. The police in searching for Mike might have been like looking for like online to see what his like online presence was.
Yeah.
So like, and like the fact that like he deactivated the YouTube channel that Mike had, like that might be a big cause for an issue. Because like, yeah. So I could kind of understand like, and Nair could have been like calmly saying, yeah, I don't know anything. But like really he was like shitting bricks because he realized he was basically suspect number one for Mike going missing.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if it actually said that. It's like shit.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
need to actually help find him now.
Yeah.
I can't just sit around and do nothing.
No. But no, he's gotta make sure he's got good grades in chemistry so he can have a strong future. Unlike Mike.
Yeah. But he was doomed from the get go. No one could have helped him. It's not like he had any friends or family.
He had no good friends that like, cared about him, like were concerned about his well-being.
No.
Yeah, no. Fuck. Hate Nair so much.
I know. I hate the entire town, honestly.
Yeah, like
the entire town is horrible.
I think like exploring that as like maybe an effect of like the world of the game bleeding into the real world like would have been really interesting.
Yes.
Like that uncaring like NPC world kind of just bleeding into this town would have been really cool.
What would be cool is like if the first part of the story it feels like a normal actual town. Like there's people that care about him and all that. But the more he plays the game, the more callous everyone gets, and then everyone just starts ignoring him.
Yeah, and then
that's when he's going nuts, and he's like trying to like he tries to like get people to open up to him, but they don't and stuff like that. But meanwhile, from the outside perspective, they just see him passing out and waking up and screaming.
Yeah, like we could have had
like
we could have had like an It Follows sort of situation where like when Nair and Mike are in chemistry, like Mike just like kind of dozes off a little bit and then jumps up and just freaks out at like something in the corner of the room or like like from the door and just like tries to sprint out of the room because like the gray man had come into the room to Mike, but like nobody else could see it. But like maybe Mike explains to like Nair later, like that's why he like freaked out. It was because he saw this like gray man like coming through the window or coming through the door or something like that, coming for him.
Unfortunately, this story has no right to have two main characters.
Yeah,
because there's really only Mike. He's the only character.
Yeah, Nair in himself is basically just another NPC in this game, in this story, in this game, or kind of. But
it's essentially like the main character isn't the person that we're following. We're following an NPC as they casually know the main character.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Yeah, we're getting like what's a term like? There's like first person, second person, third person, where the narrative is like the main character of a narrative is being told to us through the POV of another character that's just like that's always nearby. Like,
Yeah,
is that a perspective of writing? Like a perspective, a narrative? Is there a term for that?
sidekick perspective. I don't
Yeah,
know.
legit, like side character perspective, like where the whole story
Mhm.
is being told by a friend of a friend of mine.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It's just a freaky story.
Hmm.
Uh,
But I'll move on from there. My next one is actually just kind of the same sort of thing, like where it says like Mike wasn't at school the next day or the day after or after that. And it's like, why aren't you worried? Like,
yeah.
and like no one even checks on him as well. It's very strange. Yeah, and then my last one is just like when the police showed up and asked him all the questions on all that. First thing I did is just like Captain Picard facepalm, just like that was me after I read that.
Yeah.
It's like,
See my
yeah,
note. Fuck Nair. Fuck
for
him and his
sure.
stupid asshole. What a dick.
Like when it got to that point, I was like, I'm beginning to think that Nair and everyone else in this town hated Mike and they wanted him to die and be forgotten.
Yeah. It's like everybody hates Chris. No, everybody hates Mike.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Oh, Chris Rock had a TV show where like basically like he narrated his like childhood as like a sitcom, and it was called Everybody Hates Chris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the end of my notes. Actually,
Yeah. All right. Well, then I suppose we'll move on to final thoughts. So my hatred for Nair aside, I do like the idea that this story tries to bring to the table, like a game that tries to emulate a creepy psychedelic experience ends up affecting a player in a with a psychological bad trip, because that's kind of what this is. Like basically, like the game itself is designed to be kind of like make you feel like you're in an LSD drug trip, or like a weird dream logic kind of world and stuff like that. And then a character who's playing that game starts dreaming of like the main antagonist of the game stalking them, and like there's some like very low key maybe supernatural elements, because like the gray man stops being in Mike's save file from here on out, and it's just basically it's almost like he transferred from the game into his dreams or into his mind.
he didn't, because he wasn't seeing the gray man in his mind. Or are you talking about in Mike's mind?
Mike's mind, not Nair's.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because Nair notes that like in Mike's save file, like the gray man no longer appears, but he does appear in his save file. So I thought that was really interesting. Like I like that element of it. Like kind of bordering between like strange mundanity and like and psychological horror versus like an inkling of supernatural that might be occurring in this. Very, very unknown armies kind of element to this game, or to the story. And again, and that's similar with like Mike emulating his vandalism, was a nice little touch for me as well. Like just like him trying to like kind of bring the game's world into the real world. Maybe he wasn't even doing it like consciously. Maybe maybe the reason he stopped and started weeping was because like his body got taken over by the gray man, as the gray man's trying to add in the game world into the real world, and it's like puppeting Mike.
Yes. Even
That
that's done so lightly, though. It's weird.
I know. Like, unfortunately, like that stuff is barely touched on. Like that's just something I just came up with, like with what little strands I have from the story. But yeah, also just Nair's blatant disregard or care for a friend's well-being is, well, it's one for the books. Like it's terrible. Like he is such a terrible human being.
Yes, but he's an unintentionally terrible character. There are other characters in stories that are intentionally terrible. They're meant to be that way, so they're well written. Yeah. He's a terrible character just because he's not written well.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is just conjecture for us, but like I don't feel like that was intentional. Like where like
no,
he might not have been intentional. Like I think Nair was supposed to be like the main like character of this, like narrating this, and then it just sort of like from our perspective, he's just not a great friend at all.
Yeah,
not even a great human being at all. And like, if that's intentional, like, okay, I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't feel intentional.
It would be intentional if he said, like, I don't have time for this guy who's dying.
Yeah.
I need to focus on myself. I'm more important than this guy. If he said shit like that, then like, okay, he's an asshole, but
Yeah.
he's supposed to be an asshole.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be this guy's friend, and he's not. He doesn't act like it at all throughout the story.
No, the best we got was
to the
him
contrary.
staying with him for like a half an hour.
Yeah. But like, again, my negativity toward Nair and his negativity toward Mike aside, I do like the other elements of the story. I just wish they were played harder for the effect. So that's why I'm going to partially recommend this one. Is like, I like the concept. Some of the execution could definitely have gone harder, and if you're trying to make Nair hateable, make him more mean than he is, because right now his apathy is just kind of coming off as shitty. But yeah, for me, still a partial recommendation. Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right. Well, the main reason I give this a partial is because it seems like playing the game has consequences unless you're Nair for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, he just hasn't experienced the consequences yet because he hasn't played it long enough.
But then it could also be like you only get the consequences if you stream it.
Oh, yeah.
So, like that's potentially a Nair didn't meet the requirements to go crazy.
Yeah.
Scenario.
So you're saying this game that was made before streaming was even a concept had it programmed in that if it was ever streamed, the demon would be let out?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm curious, actually. Gamer, is that the executable like PlayStation emulator, is that a real one, or is that made up for the story? Or
I haven't. I don't know. What's it called? PS what?
PS? I think I had it in my notes.
PSX something?
Yeah, PSX.
No. I'll search for .exe there.
The reason I was getting to
PSX
this.
spin.
So it is.
Hang on, I'm googling.
I'm sorry.
It looks like it is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What I was trying to get here was like, so like he uses like an actual like emulator, like a legit emulator. What would have been maybe interesting is like maybe like the trigger is actually the emulator that they use to play the game. So like maybe that like the story could have had like a fictional one, like a fictional emulator that's like causing these games that it emulates to like affect the player differently than like other emulators.
Maybe.
Yeah. This is like an idea of like of why this is just affecting Mike, or because like I don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of like the streaming is a trigger, but then like what about all those other Let's Players that have played this game for real online that haven't spiraled into madness, as far as we know.
Yeah, it would only work if there isn't a single full playthrough of the story online. If everyone stops like before it's ended, then okay, that's passable as immersive and real, but that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you've brought up some good points, and I mean, my only point is that the game, had consequences, but it doesn't really make sense why it would have consequences if everyone else can play it just fine.
Yeah, just like there need to be some kind of a catalyst there for why this particular one.
Yes, Mike was the only good person in all of Derpland. He had to be killed.
He was too pure for this world.
Yep. Or at least for that state.
Well, again, and then the
country of Derpland. Our like description of this fantasy town of Derpland is anomalous at best.
Yeah. Well, this could also be playing off of like the story could also be playing like the game itself might not even be like supernatural. It could actually just be that like Mike had some underlying psychological issues that were sort of triggered by getting immersed in this strange PS1 game.
Yes.
Like it could be like it may not even have anything to do with the game itself. It could just be something that unfortunately Mike is suffering from that he was unaware of.
Yep. Like he could have been playing Resident Evil or something, and then he thinks that like the Mr. X guy is gonna give it to him.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, or like needs a Jill sandwich.
A what?
It's a joke from Resident Evil 1.
Oh, okay.
That was a close one. You almost became a Jill sandwich.
Right.
When Jill gets almost trapped in a room that's like the walls are closing in. Yeah.
Thanks for making a joke about me just dying almost.
What?
That's what she would be saying in that situation.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I almost died.
Yeah. What is this? It's blood. So the dialogue in the first Resident Evil game is like so jank it's fun.
Of course, that's where the Master of Unlocking comes from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ah, yes, you, Jill, the Master of Unlocking.
So bad.
Yeah. Bill. I think that's another one where she just screams out his name, Bill. Anyway.
That's not why we're here.
No, we're not.
Yeah. Anyway, so I feel like I'm gonna change my recommendation to a non-recommendation.
No.
Give in to your hatred.
Damn it. I mean, that's fair. Yeah. If I'd only kept my mouth shut about the consequence of the game. Damn it.
Did this.
I failed you. But no, that's fine. So no, that's it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Then, Gamer, your final verdict.
You know what? I love this now. Completely flip it now. So for me, like, I agree with the cultist. The premise is good and all that, but the execution is like so rough, in my opinion. Like, the main thing is like none of this seems real, and it could easily feel real because there's nothing overtly supernatural in it. It could just be a story about a guy who's like neglected, and his obsession with the game like triggers with like some insanity that he's dealing with, and he goes nuts and kills himself. Like, that could be the story, but that's not the story. It technically is, but it's viewed through like this, like, I almost want to say rose-colored glasses, but like this viewpoint that's just like, it does not do it justice at all. Of like this guy who doesn't care, but he's not written to not care. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, like it feels like he was unintentionally made to be like an apathetic, uncaring character when he's supposed to be this guy's friend.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
like,
his first thing that he thinks about is, oh, I need to get good grades.
Yeah.
Not my friend is missing and
he's
is possibly
really
dead.
focusing on that.
Yeah. He's an unintentional guilty bystander.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it with that Seinfeld reference.
Yeah. Right. It's like so good. But yeah, like, so like none of the character interactions, save for like Nair trying to console Mike that one time in the alley, felt real. And even that, like, the more we talked about it, the more it felt like he just wanted to know what he was writing on the wall. He didn't actually care about him.
Yeah, it wasn't about Mike's and his condition. It was all about him. Like, he wanted to know what was with the writing. But like, and not once did he like ask if he was okay or like help. Like he said like, oh, you should just go home, and didn't help him like didn't take like escort him home like.
No, just let him go. It's fine.
Yeah, he's a grown boy. He's 17, 18.
Yeah. And like the very first thing when he gets home is he, instead of like researching like who he can call to help or talk to his parents about it or anything like that. He just starts Googling this message. Like, that's the most important thing.
And then goes to bed.
Yeah, of course, because
Like,
he's
yeah,
got to get up early for school tomorrow. His grades, after all.
God.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no one gives a shit about Mike. Like, no word from the parents, teachers, friends. No one came to his aid at all.
You know who did? The cops.
Well,
The
when it was
police
way
were
too
search-
late.
Yeah, no. When it was way too late, the police were at least searching for him.
Yeah, when his parents are like, you know what, we haven't seen our son in 2 weeks. We should call the
Where's Mike?
cops.
Have you seen Mike?
Who's Mike? Oh, right, we have a son.
Right, that bastard.
I hate that kid.
Oh, you mean, I thought he was one of our like tenants or roommates.
God, I wouldn't put it past the story. But yeah, like, basically, like, I get it. Like, all the, like, no one giving a shit about him had to happen because the plot had to happen. But, like, the plot would have happened regardless, even if people cared, because like, that's where the horror would be from. Like, no matter how much people try, this shit still happens. Like, they could go as far as locking him up in a cell, and like, he could just walk into the bars and like be teleported somewhere else for all we know. Like, if it's actually like supernatural and weird like that, or like the horror would happen even if the characters cared.
Yeah, in
So
this story,
making them purposefully not care did nothing.
Yeah, in this story, he is Mike is fated to decline and go insane and kill himself because of this game character that's stalking him in his dreams. So regardless of so the story could have like had more of the outside forces like given a shit about him. Unless it's trying to like insinuate that like that part of the game world, like where everybody ignores you except in the game world, except for this antagonistic NPC, is bleeding into the real world for Mike. But then I feel like it should be told from Mike's POV.
Unless the POV of Nair ends up being the Gray Man.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or even like Nair starts off the story like giving a shit about Mike, and then by the end he starts like we actually see him getting more and more apathetic.
Yeah,
like it's but not in a way of just like the way the story did, where it's just like, oh, like he just distanced himself because the guy was acting weird. Like, we actually see some goddamn interaction between them, like, hey man, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And then like as it goes on, maybe we actually see some like a legit shift in his personality to just being this uncaring individual.
It could be like, and you could bring up stuff like, he started like talking to people and running away from like people that weren't even there. But like, eventually he did find someone to hang out with. He wore gray all the time. Like,
yeah.
So like,
he wore a trench coat and a fedora.
Yeah, but he was always running away from him. I guess they were playing tag. Like, because like, he's not caring at that point, even though like there's clearly like a grown man chasing this kid around trying to kill him.
Yeah, or maybe it's only a character that Mike can see. So like, he's just like, we're just hearing Mike like shout out like, get away from me, and he's just like running from nothing.
Yes, for sure. So TLDR is like, there's a lot of ways that this story could have gone to be a lot better, and I wanted it to go in all those ways. It went in none of them. It chose the path of least resistance, which is just, this character dies because of these reasons.
Yeah.
End of story. But like, yeah. So I'm still not going to recommend it. With a lot of work, it could be a really interesting story, and like, we thought of multiple like really interesting ways to twist this, and I like that aspect, but it's not enough to bump it to a partial, because just like the story in itself, I can't recommend, just because it's so unreadable, because like, you can't care about the character because no one cares. It's the same thing I said before. Like, if the NPCs don't care about this character, why should I? I want to care about him, but like, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, I might change my recommendation just from this talk. Like, you bring up some good points. Like, you're bringing up some good points about this. Like, as it, again, if it was built up more, I could recommend it. As it is right now, I actually don't think I could recommend it. Like, I like the core concept, but the execution, no, I'm gonna keep it partial because like I do think like as it is right now, it's an interesting. I think there is still enough merit here to at least merit a partial recommendation.
That's fair enough.
But-
Just for me, there wasn't enough to have this be something that I would recommend to someone.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Because all of the like plot points and story points are things we're suggesting because the story tells us none of them.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's my bit.
Yeah, okay. So I guess a partial recommendation and then 2 non-recommendations. Yeah, it was a lot of potential, but not a very strong execution. So that'll do it for this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Some of us are on Blue Sky. Mikey is at the East Ends for Evil, and I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void of an uncaring universe where no one cares about you and you're slowly going insane. And for your authorship, writing and posting these stories on the internet for people to read and enjoy and get spooked by. And if you didn't, well, we really wouldn't have much of a show. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for Evil.
The gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.